This former patient says COVID saved her life. That's definitely not something you hear every day. We will explain how and why it all led to a major change she never thought she'd make in her life.
From the University of Kansas Health System.
I am amazed. The team here is great.
I came on a Tuesday, and then by Saturday, I had a heart in me.
I have never seen a group of people work together so good as this team of heart specialists. I mean, it's just unreal.
Stand by to set up show.
And the Dolph C. Simons Jr. Family Broadcast Studio.
Roll it.
Always makes you feel like you're the most important patient on the planet.
I felt heard, and that was really big.
This is All Things Heart.
Good morning, I'm Alexis Del Cid. Welcome to All Things Heart. Today's patient might really surprise you because she says she's glad she got COVID. The Mulvane, Kansas woman says catching the virus revealed a condition that otherwise could have killed her. Janine Kiesling shows us.
New one's in. What more could we ask for, right?
Yes.
Talk about a whirlwind year, one that started in the ER and ended with a new heart beating inside her chest.
This is the best gift of life.
At 58 years old, Jackie Adams said she never had any serious health problems until she caught COVID in late 2021. She thought she'd recovered, but just a few days before Christmas, she began having trouble breathing.
I couldn't breathe at home. And so I went in the hospital.
Jackie had no idea at the time that it would kick off a series of events that ultimately had her Mulvane doctor sending her to the University of Kansas Health System Center for transplantation.
Oh, it scared me to death because the first time I met him, he says, we're going to have you get in touch with KU Med Center. I thought, why?
Jackie's COVID had not come back. Her trouble breathing was because she was in heart failure.
When they put the pacemaker in, they go with 3 leads. And they couldn't find one of my leads. It's just, my body is weird.
But a pacemaker wasn't enough to keep Jackie alive. Doctors had to perform another, more invasive procedure to buy them some time until they could get Jackie on the transplant list. And getting on the list would require Jackie to do something she hadn't been able to do for 30 years. Quit smoking.
It's either that or die.
So, no choice.
Simply quitting wasn't enough. Jackie had to be smoke-free for 6 months before the transplant. With each passing day, there was no guarantee she'd live to see tomorrow. But she knew her doctor was fighting for her at every turn.
My doctor was my advocate. He was awesome, and he wanted me to get in here and get a transplant pronto.
6 months later, on December 21st, 2022, nearly 1 year from when she first went in for those COVID complications, she was in surgery, getting a new heart.
I had a best friend, that's why I said I'd probably start crying. But she died 3 years ago, and I got my heart on her birthday.
We are so pleased to welcome Jackie Adams to our program. She joins us virtually today from her home in Mulvane, Kansas. And here in the studio, we're joined by Dr. Matthew Danter. Dr. Danter is the surgical director of transplant and mechanical circulatory support, alongside Dr. Herrick Shaw. Dr. Shaw is a heart failure and transplant cardiologist. Thank you both for being here. And Jackie, I want to say I'm so sorry about your best friend, and what a strange turn of events, almost like a sign from her that you got your heart on her birthday.
That's for sure, yes. I really didn't know this, really, because when you're sitting in the hospital, you don't think about this, but her daughter's the one that informed me. Today's my mom's birthday. So yeah, it was great.
How are you feeling today?
Great. I feel wonderful.
Back to living, back to your regularly scheduled business after struggling for so long. Now, you had COVID, that went away, then you're struggling to breathe, so you go to the ER. How long were you struggling to breathe before you wound up in the emergency department?
It was just that night. I have like short of breath, but that night it was almost like I was hyperventilating. It was just I couldn't breathe. And so I went in right away to the emergency room here in Derby, Kansas. So I think from there they sent me, everything's such a blur.
Sure.
I don't know if I went to the hospital right after that or not.
Well, it's the scariest moment of your life. You think you're going in for a symptom of COVID, and it turns out your heart is failing. You also had to quit smoking and be smoke-free for 6 months before your heart transplant. That being said, you'd been a smoker for 30 years. Was this the first time? 30 years, more than 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
Had you tried to quit smoking before?
Yeah, and I did quit for like 3 years, and then it started back up. But
and this time you know.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your health like? You're trying to quit smoking. You're waiting for a heart transplant, which you have to qualify for after 6 months being smoke-free. What was your health like during those 6 months?
Not good. It was not good. I probably got down to 97 or less pounds. I was skinny and just really frail. I didn't feel real bad, but just I didn't look good.
Was it the stress of everything stopping you from eating? Was it a combination of that and your heart that caused you to drop so much weight?
I don't know. I think I still ate. Maybe not enough. I don't know. I think the stress on my heart made it to where I could not gain weight. I don't know. It's just, if I look at the pictures now, I can't believe how skinny I was. It was really bad.
Oh, you look incredible. Whenever we see patients at their sickest, and then we get to see them back here on the program, and it's so great to see the difference in your health. You're glowing now. And Dr. Shaw, you sent us some incredible images. They're her echocardiograms showing the difference between Jackie's old heart and her new heart. So they're in the screen behind us. This is incredible because even a non-medical person can look at these images and see the difference.
No, it's incredible. I mean, when I first met Jackie and saw the picture of her heart, I mean, it was, we see a lot of sick hearts. Hers was definitely one of the larger ones I've seen for her body size, for how big her heart is. It was, you know, scary.
So it had grown because it was so stressed.
Yeah.
It had
what that ends up happening is that you can see on the left of how kind of, at least initially, is how big this heart is. It takes up almost the entire screen. On the right, you know, after heart transplant, you can see that heart's much smaller. And then you can see these walls are supposed to be coming in together. The heart thickens when it contracts, and you can see here that the heart's really not really moving. It's not contracting. It's kind of wiggling,
right,
but not really actually generating enough contraction to have blood go to the rest of the body. And then you can see on the right, after heart transplant, this is essentially a normal heart.
Right.
It is a normal heart. So you can see the heart is much smaller. You can see how the walls are coming together very nicely. And this is providing adequate blood flow. And when she was saying that she can't gain weight, I think this is very common in patients we see with heart failure, is that your heart is, you can imagine, this heart is not, our bodies get energy with blood flow. Blood flow gives the nutrients, gives the oxygen to the cells. You can imagine this heart's not able to do that to the rest of the body. So the body really tries to take any sort of energy it can, and a lot of it just takes our calories and takes our weight and our fat.
That would explain why she was.
And what happens in end-stage heart failure is that patients try to eat, and they just can't gain weight because the body's always in this high stress, high inflammatory zone because it's really trying to survive.
It's remarkable looking when you look at how. Can you tell? Do you get a percentage of how?
Yeah, like that's not a still shot. That's her actual heart. I mean, we find it quite remarkable that people can even walk around with a heart that just does that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the ejection fraction, that's kind of what we use too. Your normal's around 55%, normal's not 100. That's around 5%.
Yeah.
And that could be generous, honestly.
Yeah.
So, smoking can cause heart complications. Do we know if 30 plus years of smoking could be what caused Jackie's heart failure?
Yeah, it doesn't help. Usually what smoking will do commonly in patients with heart failure is cause blockages in the coronary arteries, coronary artery disease, myocardial infarction. We checked Jackie's coronaries and she did not have that. The way this heart looks like, there is some sort of process that's what happened to her heart, whether it was COVID related or whether it was something that she was predisposed to based on her gene makeup that caused the heart to be like that. But smoking doesn't make it better.
And so, Dr. Danter, why 6 months smoke-free?
Well, it's a precious resource that we have, and so one of the big worries after transplant is the progression of coronary disease. So in people who are smoking, that's one of the, not just KUs, but one of the universal sort of hard stops for transplantation of just about any kind.
And the hearts themselves are such a precious resource.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's 500,000 people diagnosed with advanced heart failure a year, and this was the first time in the history of UNOS that we surpassed 4,000 organs. So we are usually very creative at finding ways around or ways through people's complications, but for things like drugs and cigarette smoking and alcohol in excess, we have to be very kind of strict about how we allocate these resources.
If we're going to give you a heart, you've got to.
Right. It's also a very good way of determining where people will be compliant with the other parts of their care afterwards.
Yeah, and that's
very important for longevity in transplant.
I hear doctors say that all the time, that it's a team. You and the patients, it's a team, and the patient has to do just as much. Jackie, you had
also, I think just if you can quit smoking, you can do just about anything. It's one of the hardest things. It's one of the hardest things to do.
Right.
So you'll take your medicines if you can quit smoking, for the most part.
And we have some questions later on from our viewers, Jackie, because already we're getting questions from our viewers wondering how you did it. We're going to get to that in a minute. I do want to go through your journey a little bit more because, Jackie, you said you had a pacemaker and that wasn't enough, and then there had to be other steps taken. What were those other steps that Jackie is talking about?
Well, so she had her pacemaker placed, and the pacemaker that she had placed was called a CRT, cardiac resynchronization therapy. It's a 3-lead system, how Jackie mentioned in the beginning, and what that's supposed to do is kind of sync the heart back together. And there are patients that does work. So if a patient is being referred for CRT, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. But there's probably a third of patients that probably do not respond to CRT, especially hearts that look like that. Those hearts are probably at its end stage, and unfortunately there's not really much that we can do in terms of device therapies or medical therapies.
For our viewers at home, CRT, what does that stand for?
Cardiac resynchronization therapy. Okay. Yeah, it's a special type of pacemaker.
Got it.
That's supposed to help the heart, contract in synchrony, which then makes the heart stronger.
So Jackie was saying about how the doctors couldn't find one of her leads. What does she mean by that? She had that done at a different facility, but based on what commonly can happen is that third lead goes into a very special location in one of the veins in the heart. And with how abnormal her anatomy is, I can imagine it being a little bit more difficult. I think she had some complications from that procedure and had to be in the hospital. I think she had some fluid around her heart after that procedure, and it wasn't. Yeah, there was issues with that procedure, unfortunately. She says she has a trick. She said, my system is weird. I think that's how you described it. Or you said you have a strange setup in there. I mean, everybody is different. Everybody's different. Everybody's organs and stuff. And Dr. Danter, when you talk about the actual process of getting a transplant, do you have to wait to even start looking for that match until she's 6 months smoke-free, or can you get the ball rolling during that time?
Well, we do most of the evaluation before that, but we can't list people that are smoking, or actively smoking, or within 6 months of being smoke-free. So that's our policy as a multidisciplinary committee when we look at it. But we do most of the other workup beforehand. So most of the workup, involves ruling out other major illnesses, making sure that there's adequate social supports, and also, doing some of the serologies that we need and the blood grouping that we do to make sure that when the time comes, we can move relatively quickly to listing.
And then when you get that call, it can happen at any point, any time.
Yeah, it's rare to be very quick, except for certain circumstances where we're trying to ensure that sicker people are made as sort of prominent on the list as we can make them within the guidelines that we have to follow.
One of the things that Jackie shared with us is that she had to have a PICC line.
Yeah.
What is a PICC line?
So a PICC line's a special IV that goes into your arm, or sometimes it goes into the upper chest. And it's a very long IV that basically goes from your vein here all the way into your heart chamber, or right above your heart. Because Jackie had to be on a medicine. So the way our strategy for Jackie is that we knew her heart was sick, and we knew we had to wait 6 months for her to get a heart transplant. And with that heart being the way it is, it was going to be, how are we going to get her to 6 months? Because that was our eventual goal. And so what we did was we put a PICC line in her. and then administered a medicine called milrinone, which is a medicine that helps the heart contract, or help the heart kind of squeeze a little bit stronger. And that is a good therapy as a bridge to get to an eventual heart transplant. That medicine, is, a very potent medicine. That's a medicine that you probably don't want to go into a little IV that's in your arm that, you might get when you're, getting your labs drawn or anything like that. We want to ensure that medicine goes directly where it needs to go, which is the major vein in the heart and into the heart itself. And so that PICC line is a line that lasts for a long period of time. I don't think you had that PICC line changed, Jackie, and so... And so that line lasted from when we met her in the hospital to when she eventually got her heart transplant. And it allowed us, I think, the time that, so even though her heart wasn't doing well, I think it bridged us to the point where we could actually get her to a heart transplant without her getting, to a point where she got too sick.
Jackie, did you have to then carry around a bag with this line going to your heart, or how did you navigate?
Yeah, there was a purse. I had to carry this purse around for, I don't even remember how long I had that in. But yeah, I had to carry this purse around. It had like the battery pack in it.
Were you able to shower? What would happen if you needed to go into the shower?
I think I just put it to the side. Yeah, it's tricky. It's not easy because,
I think
you had to keep...
I'd be worried that if I was sleeping, I'd roll over and pull it out or something would happen. It feels so, it's for such a high-tech situation, all the things you do to just have a line going into your heart and you're carrying it around with a bag. Yeah. How fragile is that?
They do a good job of kind of making sure they put a lot of good adhesives around it to make sure it's stuck to the skin. They put a adhesive over it. But yeah, I mean, sometimes patients, the PICC line does fall out, but usually with good meticulous care, like Jackie did, usually it doesn't cause any major issues.
Now, Jackie was one of, and this is another incredible part of the story, is Jackie was one of 4 heart transplants the week of Christmas in 2022. You guys were busy, the whole team up there. Is that the most you've ever had in that small of a time period, let alone over Christmas, a Christmas holiday?
I mean, it was until this year, I guess.
Did you beat that this year? Did you have more?
I think we did 5 over the week of Christmas this year.
Wow.
I think, when you have an aggressive program like we do, I have an inclination at certain times of the year, Super Bowl weekend, these kind of things, people, other programs may say, no, we could, I'm just joking, but the reality is it seems to be that during some holidays we seem to have a rush on organs that are available. I mean, you can...
Is that like Murphy's Law, or is there a science or reason you could think
I think if you actually looked at the true numbers from the major databases, there isn't actually a statistically significant increase around these times. It's just something that I think more of the people that do it perceive it to be so. It's like the whole old full moon thing when something does. But true randomness allows for clusters, I guess. So but it is. I mean, it is a remarkable feat for the whole team when you just sort of keep rolling.
So many people. It took a whole village to help everyone and help Jackie. And we know you have questions. We love getting questions from our community. So please send them to us on YouTube, Facebook, the X platform. You can also send them to the All Things Heart email. We have all the ways to contact us in real time right there on your screen. And we do have a question from one of our viewers, Jeremy Yenser. He wrote on Facebook, how did you feel, Jackie, after the transplant? Did you notice a big difference in energy level or anything afterwards?
Yes, I felt great. I think it was 3 or 4 days after I got home, I went shopping. I mean,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I never came home. Well, I did. The first day I came home and laid in bed. But after that, I had so much energy. I mean, and I was not sore. I mean, where they open your right here for your heart, that wasn't even sore at all. It was where they have the tubes was the most sore part of my whole body. I mean, this never hurt. It never hurt. It's crazy.
Wild. That's a testament to how far we've come and what a great job you guys do.
I guess the surgeon has some credit to take for that too.
Well, it is remarkable. I mean, that's pretty common actually. The sternal incision is one of the most like the sternotomy incision is one of the most well tolerated, but it's always the chest tube sites and having the chest tubes in and everything like that that really that causes almost universally everybody discomfort. So.
But you're hearing that a heart patient, someone got a new heart from you and then is shopping 2 days later at the mall. It
was probably more like a couple weeks out, but I would imagine. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and everybody's course is different. Yeah. But you know, for you, Jackie, I'm glad it's been this, and you look fantastic. Like nobody would know, right, if they looked at you that you'd had a heart transplant.
Yeah, I mean.
Thank you.
Yeah, the transformation
all because of you,
has been great.
Dr. Danter.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
It's all because of Dr. Danter. I never did get to say thank you to him, because I think I seen him when I was laying in bed in the hospital, but I never got to really talk to him because I was pretty out of it. But I want to thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How often do you get to see patients
Well, it's kind of a weird setup. They come we see them every day in hospital afterwards, but the way the clinics are set up, we try and minimize, because these guys have so many visits and everything like that, and I get one surgical clinic day a week. So most of the clinics for the heart failure patients are done on Wednesdays, so then they typically don't come to see me again then on Friday, because they'd have to come from another, come back again. So I try, if there's any surgical issues, we try and see them on Wednesday if we're out of the OR, but oftentimes this is, it is a little, it's nice to see these patients. As a surgeon, most of us hate clinic as a surgeon, but if you go to clinic and you see people that are doing well, it's actually kind of reaffirming. But
Johnny has a question. Johnny says, you live in Mulvane, which is outside of Wichita. How did you wind up here at the health system?
My doctor here, my heart doctor here, Dr. Harani, sent me to KU. He told me to get in touch with KU. Yeah, that's when I found out I was going to have a transplant eventually. And I kept on putting off calling because I thought, I don't think I need a transplant. But yeah, I did. But I eventually called. Yeah.
Yeah, we are the only advanced heart failure center in the state of Kansas. So
that explains it.
If you are, and this is one of the things we try to get across, is that the sooner that we can see people, the sooner we can have stories like this, because if someone like Jackie presents in extremis after we haven't seen her, we have to start all over again, and she's still smoking, we may not get to this side of the story. So the sooner we can see these people, the sort of more effective we can be at getting them through the process, because if we'd waited another 6 months or another year to see Jackie, it might have been a very different story, unfortunately.
Oh, totally. And Jackie, you had to quit smoking cold turkey, and I want to get to these questions from our viewers because Tom wrote in. Tom wants to know, how did you do it? Did you do it cold turkey? Did you use medications? Did you use a patch?
No, you can't use anything with nicotine. No nicotine patches, none of that. But if you have a choice to either live, or not live, then it's quite easy. When Dr. Shaw told me I had to quit, I quit on the way home from Kansas City. Yeah. I had a pack of cigarettes. There was like 2 left, and I smoked those 2. I said, I'm done. And I was done.
So you have to quit cold turkey. There's no easing off the nicotine when you're...
Because we test every month. We test for nicotine byproducts, and that's why it's hard, because the nicotine patch, the nicotine gums, lozenges, any of that, even though that's how you can quit smoking, we test it, because you can't tell if nicotine's in the system. Did they smoke or did they use the patch?
And you have to be certain.
And you have to be certain. So the only way to be certain is to completely take nicotine out of the equation.
We have a couple different viewers who are asking similar questions, whether COVID could have played a role in her heart failing, because she had COVID before this, and then another question of what was the cause. Do you know if it was genetic, COVID, another virus?
Yeah, that's a complicated question with COVID. I think. Obviously, if you look on COVID and heart, you're going to see a lot of different things. And here's going to be my opinion, which is an opinion, not really necessarily fact, and I'll take it like that. I believe that, when organ systems fails, I believe in the 2-hit hypothesis. I believe that there's, things that trigger something that's underlying that can make things worse. And so what I think for Jackie is that underlying, I think she had some sort of abnormality, whether that be genetics or whether that just be something in her heart that just wasn't working correctly. And then COVID might have just accelerated that process. Not necessarily that COVID caused it per se, but COVID definitely might have been that second hit that really made the heart failure very evident and symptomatic. But looking at that heart, I think that heart's been sick for a very, very long time. even before the COVID. The heart doesn't get that big in a short period of time. That takes years of remodeling of a heart to get that large.
And as Jackie had said, it's such a weird twist. If you hadn't had COVID, you wouldn't have been so alarmed when you had the shortness of breath, and you wouldn't have gone to the doctor. So in a strange way, COVID saved her life.
Yeah, that's a really glass half full way to think about it, and that's good. I mean, that's it allowed us to diagnose her, because I completely agree with Dr. Danter's thoughts. If we saw Jackie maybe 3 months or 4 months or even 6 months later, the conversation would be very different, and her course would have been very, very different, because when we saw her, she had to work really hard to get to the point to where she got a transplant, and
she sure did.
And I think if we met her any later, I don't know if we would have had this outcome.
Jackie, we are so happy that you're able to join us this morning and share your journey. And now that you have walked through the fire, you look fantastic. You're feeling great. Is there any message that you would most like to share with our viewers?
I don't know. I just think if you have any kind of signs of your heart hurting or something, don't wait. Because I was really, really sick. I'm so glad for Dr. Shaw and Danter. Because I don't think, I'm not one of those that jump and go to a doctor. So I think, don't wait. Get checked, for sure.
And Dr. Shaw, when you first met Jackie, you saw her, she was so sick. As you've said, she was so compliant, jumped through all the hoops.
Yeah.
What would be your message to Jackie, looking at how well she has done?
I think honestly 80% of the credit goes to her, and maybe 20% to our team, because I think I really enjoy our team, but all we really do is show her a path. And she has to walk that path and do kind of the things that she does, and she took the onus on herself and did it. And these are the outcomes. This is the best part about being a heart failure cardiologist, is that I really saw Jackie from the beginning when she was sick. Seeing her in those 6 in the between when we had her on Milrinone, getting her the transplant, seeing her in the hospital, and then seeing her now. We really have gone full spectrum. I'm glad you've done really well, Jackie. I think I'm seeing you in clinic today, actually. This is the best part about the job, is to really, truly save a life, and lives, really. And I'm happy that Jackie had such a great outcome, and that's what I hope for all of our patients. But a lot of the credit goes to her, because she did what she needed to do to give her a shot at transplant.
Dr. Danter, is she an inspiration?
Yeah, the reality is we sometimes see the opposite side of it. We definitely have people that are on other forms of advanced therapies, either medications or pumps, that aren't able to do this, and not able to quit smoking. We have people that are just, for whatever reason, incapable of doing that. And, should be a great spokesperson for her community and the people that are there, because it shows you how much you can change when you have to, and it's remarkable, really. It's the whole reason why we do this, really. Yeah.
Is for patients like Jackie, and to see the success. And Jackie is such a champion. And at the same time, you guys are so modest, saying, oh, it's only 20%. You are the heart failure specialist and the surgeon, and saving lives here. And we love sharing that incredible work that our doctors do here at the health system. We also love showing our viewers what life is like for our doctors outside the hospital walls.
Now for a secret look into the guardians of healthcare at the University of Kansas Health System. Let's go behind the mask.
All right, Dr. Herrick Shaw, we're going to start with you. I love a guy in a matching pajama set.
It's not my choice. I'll say that right now.
Tell us the story.
This was when I was in Durham, North Carolina during my fellowship, and this is the first year me and my wife lived together. And she had this idea of Christmas of wearing matching pajamas, and I don't know if you can tell, I think my dog is wearing the same pajama.
Did you put your dog in a onesie?
Yes,
here too?
I guess I think she's hugging him, so you can't tell. So that's our dog Boomer. I'm from Oklahoma originally, and a big Oklahoma Sooner fan. I think Jackie's husband, I think, is a big OU Sooner fan too.
That's a good
and so that's how it happened. You just say yes. You just.
And that's why you're still married.
It's
exactly.
much more straightforward to just say yes.
There's really no other formula to it.
Yeah.
And then we have another picture that comes with a story. Are you basking in the glory of something here?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
If you want the truth, you ask me. So this was our heart failure cardiology team and our two cardiovascular surgeons. You can see Dr. Danter right next to me. And, yeah, we had a little, there's a little competitiveness that comes with, just
who won?
People. Us. Yeah.
It is entirely untrue. You don't count warm-up.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Apparently the game that we won was called the warm-up, classically.
Pictures or it didn't happen. We can't just see the still shot afterwards. Yeah. We do have a video also to share, because next up we have Dr. Danter. Check out this girl. This is incredible when she gets going. It's like something out of Game of Thrones. Who is this?
This is my 13-year-old daughter who, yes, she terrifies me.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley angry.
Well, that's why, I'm a girl dad, so...
So what's she doing?
All my kids do martial. This is her doing her bow staff form for, she is in AmeriCic. She's actually also the Old Glory recipient, which is so it's a citywide school, and she is considered to be the best red belt, so non-black belt in the school. And so she has been given the belt from her master since from the 70s.
Cool.
And so she wins everything.
And every fight at home, everything.
No, I'm saying every competition she's won that she's been in.
And all your daughters are in martial arts?
Yeah.
Because you have 3 daughters total?
I have 3 daughters.
Three daughters.
I have
and
Kayla and
wife.
Alyssa are my other 2. And I just think as a girl dad, you want to have daughters that the first guy that tries to get handsy gets to pick up his teeth with broken fingers.
Right, from the bow staff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. We'd love it. That's so special. Thank you both, doctors, for sharing your time with us today. And thank you to Jackie for sharing your journey. We really appreciate it. Coming up next week on All Things Heart, a local drummer skipped taking care of the most important beat, his heart. What he ignored that ultimately led to a quintuple bypass. That's next Thursday at 8 a.m. Coming up Friday on the Morning Medical Update. It's one thing to find a tumor, fully understanding it is another. When Allison Lackey got a second opinion, that understanding completely changed her treatment. I'm Alexis Del Cid on the next Morning Medical Update, the importance of pathology, where subtle distinctions can mean the difference between life and death. Friday at 8 a.m.